So the check sheet is a form of document used to collect data in a real time at the location where the data is generated. So it can be in the form of quantitative and qualitative. Okay, if quantitative, so we can call it as tally sheet. So here is the example of check sheet data. So the functions of check sheets are, first is to check the shapes of the probability distributions of a process. Second is quantify defect by type. Third is by location. Fourth is by cost, which from the machines or workers. And we're going to keep track of the completions of a step in a multi-step procedure, where we can call it as a checklist.
Hi, my name is Syuhadah Binti Kamaruddin, and I'm going to explain about the second tools of TQM, which is scatter diagram. Scatter diagram or scatter chart is a simple graphical tool that is used to show the relationship between two variables. Scatter diagram combines these two variables into a single data point and display them in uneven intervals. It composed of a horizontal axis containing the measured value of one variable and a vertical axis that represent the measurement of the variable. Next, I am going to explain the reason why the scatter diagram is used as TQM tool. First, it helps in understanding the degree of relationship between dependent and independent variables. Second, it helps in forecasting the future trend of the basis of current relationship between these two variables. And lastly, it helps in understanding the behavior of dependent variable with change in independent variables. How does scatter diagram identify the relationship between those two variables? The first one is when the dot plot is moving from left to right in an upward direction, it is a positive correlation. Second, when the dot plot is moving from left to right in a downward direction, it is a negative correlation. Lastly, when the dot plots are scattered all over the graph, then there is no correlation between variables, or also known as zero correlation. In order to use this scatter diagram, there are 5 steps needed. First, select the variables which are related to each other. Second, collect the data. Third, create the scatter diagram, which x-axis represents the cause or independent variable, while y-axis is the effect or dependent variables. Fourth, examine the shape of cloud of point, whether it's moving upward or downward. And lastly, determine the type and strength of mutual relations. By referring to figure 6.6 in your slide, it shows a negative correlation between productivity and absenteeism. This is because the dots are plotted from left to right in a downward direction. So we can see that when there is a large number of absenteeism, this could also affect the number of productivity by a company.
Next, I will explain about the cause and effect diagram. What is the cause and effect diagram? That's a tool that can help identify, solve, and display possible causes of a specific problem or quality characteristic. And then, in this type of diagram is sometimes called in the Ishikawa diagram, and that's because of invented by Koru Ishikawa, or a fishbone diagram because of the way it looks. So next, when should use a cause and effect diagram? So cause and effect diagram can use when you need to identify the possible root causes, the basic reason for the specific effect problem or condition. And then when you want to sort out and relate some of the interaction among the factors affecting a particular process or effect. And then last, when you need to analyze existing problems so that corrective action can be taken. And then next, why should we use a cause and effect diagram? In cause and effect diagram, there have some of the benefits. First, that can help determine a root causes of the problem or quality characteristic using a structured approach. Second, encourage group participants and utilize group knowledge of the process. Third, use a orderly, easy to read format to diagram cause and effect relationship. And the fourth, indicate possible causes of variation in a process. And fifth, increase knowledge of the process by helping everyone to learn more about the factors at work and how they relate. And the last is identify area where data should be collected for further study.
Okay, how do we develop a cause and effect diagram? Okay, for the first step is we identify and clearly define the outcome or effect to be analyzed. Decide on the effect that you are going to examining. For example, the effect is poor gas mileage. Okay, that's the effect title. Then the step 2 is we are going to identify the main causes contributing to the effect being studied. These are labels for the major branches of diagram and become categories under which to list the many causes related to those categories. Okay, we should use category labels that make sense for the diagram that we are creating. Here are some commonly used categories, which is 4M's: methods, materials, machinery, and manpower. Here are some diagrams that shows the how we are going to create the main causes for the step 2. Okay. For the step 3 is for each major branch, identify other specific factors which may be the causes of the effect. Identify as many factors as possible and attach them as sub-branches of the major branches. Here are some examples for the step 3. Okay, for the last step is where by this stage you can or you should have a diagram that showing all the possible causes of the problem that you can think of. Depending on the complexity and importance of the problem, you can now investigate the most likely causes further. This may involve setting up investigation, carrying out survey, and so on. This will be designed to test which of these possible causes is actually contributing to the problem. Okay, let's see the diagram that we have done creating. Okay, for example, okay, let's analyze the diagram we have been constructing. Poor maintenance appears to be a causes for which you could develop measurement. Moreover, poor maintenance appear to be a causes that you can take action on.